What is up, everyone? Tony from TN3D Studios, and today I'm going to talk about ambient occlusion and override material in Vray for Sketchup. As you are creating your scene, I'm pretty sure you've came across a point where you wanted to test your light, you wanted to test your materials, and you just wanted to enhance some details in your own scene. In essence, override material and ambient occlusion helps you to test your lighting and test your materials. Now, first of all, what is override material? Override material is a global setting. It's a setting that will affect your entire scene. Essentially, you are applying one base material to override all of the materials in your scene and create either an all-white image or whichever color you select. So how do you activate your override material? You head over to your options tab under your global switches, and you will see an option here that says override material. Now this simply has to be checked, and you can see that the override color has also been activated, and this is the color that will be taking over your entire scene as the base material. And there you have it. As a result, you can see that the scene has been overridden by one diffuse material, and it is all white. Well, not really white, almost a little bit gray, because that was the color that we had activated on our color options. Now, changing this color will also change the color in your scene, so we might want to test that out just to see what happens. Now let's select something really that we can just exaggerate a little bit. Let's pick blue, and let's just see what that does to your scene. Now let's render that again just so I can prove my point. And there you have it. The blue color has totally taken over the diffuse override material, and as a result the entire scene is colored in blue. Now what you want to do as you go through this process, you want to save these renderings on your history, on your frame buffer here, so that you can later compare them. As you can see, I have both of them saved already. All you really have to do is click the H and then click the save button when you render them, and they'll be stacked on your history here. And what you want to do is assign one to A and assign one to B, and then you'll be able to swing this around so that you can compare them. And as you can see, it's a great way for you to test your lighting, and it's a great way for you to test your... As you know, the override material option affects the scene globally, meaning your entire scene is covered by this one material. However, you can select and isolate one single material to not be affected by this feature. Now you might be wondering, how do you do that? Well, now you have to head over to your material options and select the material that you want to not be affected by this feature, and head over to your options tab, and you will see throughout the options that there will be one in particular that says can be overridden. You might want to read this as a question, can this be overridden? And the checkbox simply says yes or no. So if you uncheck this, you will liberate that material from being affected by this feature. Now, as you can see, I've selected this tile material right here, and we're going to just render a region of this entire... Let me unselect that. There you go. We're just going to render this region in a little bit just so we can see that this will be the only material that will not be affected by the override material. And there you have it. As you can see, that one material is now free from being affected by the override material, and you can now further test this one material to add your bump. Now, after you have tested your lighting and tested your materials, I like to add a little bit more detail into my scene, and I do that by adding an ambient occlusion feature on my scene. Now you can find the ambient occlusion basically on your indirect illuminations tab, and you just have to tick this box right here to activate it. Now you got three settings to play around with. You got your amount and your radius, which basically control how much ambient occlusion you want in the scene, and your subdivision, which controls the quality of your ambient occlusion. Now maybe I want to exaggerate this a little bit just so we can get a sense of comparison between the values that I'm going to place here. So I'm going to put something really extreme, like I don't know, 10. I'll also set this to 10, and let's just, for the sake of this exercise, keep the subdivision pretty low just to increase the render time, and let's keep it at 16. And there you go. This is what we get with these settings, with an amount of 10, subdivision of 16, and a radius of 10. As you can see, it's a little bit too much for my taste, to be honest, but you can see what this feature is doing. It brings out a lot of details, especially in void spaces that kind of just are pulled in on your scene. You can see that they're really well defined, and it really reads well when you go over into like a window curtain wall frame, and you just see the overall impact that this has had on your scene. It goes really well with the lighting as well, because it helps create contrast, and you can see that even the mullions are well defined, with the part where the light hits and the part where there's shadow. Now I want to bring this down. Let me just save this over to my history so that we can compare later. And now we're going to change these values. Now I normally keep the amount always slightly higher than the radius. I don't know why, but it always reads well to me. So I'm going to keep this value, let's just say on a 2, and I'm going to have my radius on a 1.5. I normally do this just because I think it's preference. I mean, you can do whichever way, keep the radius higher than the amount, whichever way works for you, but I like to keep this on slightly higher than my radius. So let's try these settings and compare them both later and see how that works. And there we go with the current values, and now we're going to compare these two to see how they stack against each other. And there you go. You can see the difference. You know, the higher the value, obviously the stronger the ambient occlusion, but now you have the option to see what values really work for you. If you like a high contrast image, you might want to go towards the higher values. And if you like something that's just, or if you're like me and you like lower values, you can just enhance it in Photoshop and play with low values here. Thank you so much, everyone. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but we'll be keeping these rolling as much as I can. So anytime, feel free to drop a comment down below. Let me know if you like this video, if it has helped you, and let me know what other topics you would like me to cover, because as I learn, I would like to share as much as possible with you guys. So I'll see you guys on the next video, and I hope you guys take care. And by the way, if you're wondering what lighting I have used here, this is an HDRI lighting that I've used from a very good friend of mine. His name is David Bufal, and he has a page on Facebook that's going around called Mediterranean Lights. He has been shooting a lot of HDRIs lately, actually for a very long time, but he's been sharing a lot of his results. He's constantly sharing his stuff, so it'd be great if you guys want to be part of it, to go over to his page on Mediterranean Light on Facebook and give it a like and check out his stuff, and maybe subscribe to his monthly HDRI services, and you can really benefit from that if you're one of those person that's always looking for HDRIs in that setup.